Last night my child came home and she was sharing with me that a friend of hers, her friend, committed suicide. And hi guys, welcome back to my channel. By the title, you already know what I'm going to talk about today. And I'm not going to be too long. I'm going to try to make this brief. I'm also kind of whispering because the baby's in the background sleeping. Thank the Lord. But with that, it means that I have to be a little bit quieter so she does not wake up. Jumping into the topic. The topic is of suicide and bullying. This topic has been a topic that I've wanted to talk about in the past, only because I know, I have been there in a sense where I have been bullied by people. I wouldn't go around claiming to be bullied here and there, but in all honesty, that's what it was. At the same time, being a mom, to my children, it's something that I used to fear for them because no mother wants their kid to ever be bullied. I wanted to make a video on this topic initially because I wanted to share just, I guess, my take on the situation, share my opinions and my thoughts. But at the same time, I talked myself out of it because I'm like, where is my video on this subject going to go on YouTube? Because we all know that YouTube is very saturated with a ton of videos on a ton of different things. However, I kind of like yesterday in my video talking about why we share personal business on YouTube, I was stating that if my videos can impact one person in a positive way, whether it's to encourage a parent to communicate with their kids on the subject or just to communicate with their kids in general so they can at least have an understanding of what their kids are going through, how they feel, and whether they can have something to say that may either prevent their kid from being a bully or prevent their kid from going down that suicide path, or whether the video itself opens up the eye to a bully. I don't know, but I felt compelled to want to share my story or to share just, where I'm coming from. Last night my child came home and she was sharing with me that a friend of her friend committed suicide. And you guys see how she is. Like, she is emotional and she definitely feels. She's not one to hold her emotions back, which is very much like me. And she loves people and she wants good for everyone. And she came home like just her heart broke. And I don't even have to know the kid. Just knowing that it's so close to home, it breaks my heart too. Her heart broke for her friend because her friend's heart was breaking for her friend. And it's just a devastating situation. I'm not going to talk too much. That's the first and the last time that I'm actually going to mention those people, because honestly, yes, it did impact my daughter in a way just because she's exposed to the matter and it's affecting her. But, out of respect for the family and out of respect for family whom I don't know and just their friends or whatever, I don't want to touch too much. I don't want to talk about them per se, because I'm sure like their situation has got to be so painful. And keep in mind, like I said, anything that I talk about in this video, I'm just talking in general about bullying. It has nothing to do with them or their scenario. Just trying to say that it's just my daughter brought it home to me and it prompted me to want to make this video. I myself have dealt with a little bit of bullying, but the bullying back then and the bullying today are it's like two different levels, and it was never okay to begin with. But today it's so heightened, and it's so far gone that you have people taking their lives because they just don't feel like there's any way out. They don't feel like there's an outlet. It's really sad. It's such a sad thing to have to deal with. Back in the day, I used to be fearful for my kids, but I realize that fear is not going to get anywhere. It's just going to have you not live your best life, because you're just going to be bottled up with these feelings about stuff that you don't know if it will ever impact you or whatever, or never impact you, and you're just fearful of it. And when you're living in fear, you can't live well. These days, honestly, I don't know how we live without God, because He's the one that gives me all the strength that I do need to kind of motioned myself through this world and given the strength and the courage to open up and talk to my kids about the things that I need to talk to them about or have to talk to them about. And one of them is being this topic. So I just wanted to share like basically like what I've been doing to try to help counteract this topic, because I feel like it's every parent job to try. You at least can try to talk to your kids, and I'm sure a lot of those kids, if those who have had who have taken their lives on account of bullying, their parents talk to them and whatnot, they just felt so cornered, because bullying can do that to someone. It's such a stupid thing, and I don't know why people feel the need to have to do it. And what I've been doing with my kids is sitting down and talking to them, and I have to talk to them from both perspectives: the perspective of a bully and the perspective of uh, um, a person who could be hurt by it. And bullies are often the way they are because of some suppressed whatever they're feeling on the inside, and it's like they're feeling some kind of pain, so they want to inflict pain upon the other person. And it's unfortunate, because there's help for you. You just have to look it up. And I mean, even here on our platform, we get bullied with people coming on referring to me as a bedwench, or referring to me as a blah blah blah. And that's because obviously, I'm black, my husband is white, and therefore I've done something wrong. Bullying is not just cyberbullying, it's everywhere. And the fact that that happens is just unreal. And the fact that someone does take the time to be able to type something so stupid to say to me tells you that they're capable of typing help in Google, just help to find ways to deal with whatever they are struggling with. So anyways, long story short, I just wanted to share a few of the things I am using to address, to deal with the subject matter for my kids. Just trying to talk to them and let them realize that we should be treating people how we want to be treated. If we don't want to be treated in a poor way, we shouldn't be going around doing that to people. I feel like that's the core thing. That's like step one to know not to be a bully, because I'm pretty sure you don't want to be hurt. So if you don't want to be hurt, why would you go around hurting other people? Sometimes it's easier said than done, because there are some things that are sensitive that can still hurt people, but I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about surface sensitive stuff, even though that when one struggles with being insensitive to others, that's another topic that they themselves are going to have to deal with at one point. But I'm talking to you guys about, like actual bullying, where people go out of their way, go on blah 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 blah, saying a bunch of stuff that they know is going to be severely hurtful to someone, and they go ahead and type it, or tell it to their face, or bully them continuously to the point where a child may feel like they have no way out. So definitely, I'm sure, I know obviously I know for you guys that are watching, I know that you guys are already probably talking to your kids about this subject matter. And so yeah, that's the first step that I'm using to try to talk to my kids, to be mindful of the way they treat other people. Now on the other side, I think the other side is where the parent, the fear initially came from for me, just never wanting to think my kids could be bullied to the degree where they take their own lives. It's not worth it. It is so not worth it. People should not get that satisfaction to be able to push us to that degree. But it happens because it's happening, and it's happening to our youth they're not, they're developing, they're still trying to find the tools to navigate through life, let alone to have to deal with something so stupid that shouldn't be, imposed upon them. So talking to my kids and trying to make sure that I'm connecting to them is what I tend to do to try to tackle the subject of bullying, and to also, and even the topic of suicide, because I know people are human. I know that we feel, just like I was telling the kids, the saying, sticks and stones may break your bones, but names will never hurt you. I try to be real with them. Like, the reality is, it does hurt. Names do hurt. But we should really stop and think, even if we get upset in the moment, let's just stop and think about what we're going to allow to hurt us and how deep. It may hurt us on a certain level, but if we give it a moment of thought, we're like, wait a second, who are you? Like, who do you think you are to be able to say what you're saying to me? I mean, we can stop and think before we give the satisfaction to those people to be able to, walk all over us and push us to our limits. And it's really sad because I mean, at the end of it, I don't even know how bullies feel when they know that their words and the way they acted has pushed someone to the point of suicide. How do they themselves, how do they live with themselves in knowing that that happened? I try to tell my kids, like, as much as the bully is behind whatever they do and they're the ones pushing, 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 at the end of the day, what you do is that's your action. And so you also have to be aware of what you're doing. Like, you can say, well, he said this to me, which he did, and it was darn right wrong and rude and hurtful and all of the above and shouldn't have happened. But at the same time, over here, we have to be aware that any action we take from then on is our own. And so you have to be also try to be responsible for your actions, because even at the end of those actions, when the suicide itself may occur, you have people over here who may very well not even have their feelings may still not even change. Instead, they just go around probably. Now they have a bigger fish to fry. They have a bigger thing to have to deal with. Before, they may have had some minor struggle or whatever they were dealing with initially that caused them to become a bully. Now they have to deal with something even bigger, in knowing that the impact of what they did has caused someone to go this far. That's an even bigger weight. And it's a matter of, are they going to get the help to correct this, or is this weight now going to impact them even further and have them spiral in a negative direction? So it's the topic itself is just like, we can talk about it endlessly because there's so many aspects of it. And I guess this is where studying psychology comes into play. I love psychology, and I really enjoy just understanding how people think and trying to just trying to see different ways that we can look at things and solve things from a different perspective. So that's, if anything, that's where I'm at the same time. For me, I just want my message for those of you parents, because I know, like, you guys have been loving the modcast that Michaela and I do, and so we will touch base on this further, but I wanted to talk about this specifically from a parental perspective initially. Then when we do the modcast, we can talk, and because we don't have all the time in the world either to kind of go in depth. And this topic it's a broad topic. But you guys have been enjoying our modcast because it's talking about real stuff. It's sharing our mother-daughter connection and our perspective. And that's the big reason why I started that too. The modcast is to connect with my child on a deeper level. And it's, though she's homeschooled and though we're with each other all the time, we still have to make sure we're constantly connecting and understanding each other and figuring each other out. I realize that though we're in the same space and though we may connect daily, if I don't probe sometimes, there are things that could be bothering her and I'm not even aware. And so sometimes I've found that I kind of have to probe a little bit and ask questions just so we can get to a certain level. And mind you, in the process of doing so, we butted heads and it hasn't gone well. But one thing I've taught them, and one thing I also try to exercise, is patience. And I have to, I reprimand them about their lack of patience. And then I also had to check myself and realize, okay, let's talk about it. Because communication for me is key. So in the midst of it all, I try to communicate with her and I explain to her what perspective I'm coming from, and that I do, the whole point of communicating is just so so they don't have to walk around with a cloudy mind and have things in their heads or weight on their shoulder that's burdening them, that and having to impact them in their lives because it was never dealt with. So I try to explain those things to them so they have a clue and they understand the purpose of communication and why it's so important. I just pray that that's a scenario that never happens to you. And if you have a child, just reach out to them, and talk. Probe, and talk to them, and just let them know the reason why you do it, and that you care, and that you love them, and that you just always want them to be full of, joy, and not just walking around with stuff that they don't have to, and we weighed down by things. Like, all it takes is to just talk. And Michaela has learned this too. The more we talk about things, the better she feels. And the last topic of her, when that video in the modcast where we talked about her of her learning to love herself. That's a topic that's something that was, I kind of noticed was, bothering her. And just, she made subtle cues to me, and it was like, I'm not liking, what happens, can I do this to my hair, like I want it to be like this, or what if I did this, like certain things I could tell it was off. And so I would ask questions and talk to her about it. And then we started having those, then she broke down, and I could feel that there were things that were bothering her. And then we got to talking, and I'm so happy and like I said, guys, I'm not perfect. All I do is I'm a talker, and so I'm good at talking, and I definitely love to communicate with my kids. And so that's just my method, and I pray that whatever I'm doing, I'm trying, and I just trust in the Lord that it will work, because that's all I have to go on. And just trying to teach them just how to navigate through life without having to be impacted by this the stupidity that shouldn't even be there. So leave that's my take on the subject. Um, I hope I covered, I don't know, I probably didn't cover, I don't know how much I covered from whatnot, but leave a comment down below and let me know what's your take on the subject. And just, if you are whether you're a teen or a kid, or if you are a parent, how do you go about teaching your kids about bullying, and also about just the suicide that may go along with it. I bought Michaela a book recently, and it's called The Falling. I can't remember the name of it, but it's, because we live here in Canada, it's a book about the Indigenous people that have also committed suicide on account of just the hardships that they face here. And I really wanted to educate myself a little bit about that topic, because I know that those people in, the Native people, um, face a lot of struggles here. And that's just like a totally different topic, by the way. But yeah, it's just, it's just such a sad topic to talk about. But anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed my talk on this. It's not like a topic that to really enjoy, but you know what I mean. Um, Comment down below and just let me know just where your heart's at, where you're at on this subject matter. And thank you so much for watching. This is definitely a video that can be shared to actually impact someone, and should definitely open up kids' eyes to let them realize that bullying is not the solution. If you've got an issue, just talk to someone. Talk to them and open up and realize that you're not alone. And trust me, a lot of us have a lot of different things that we um, went through, different hardships, and you're not alone. We just have to learn to work through them, so we can be the best us we can be in life. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and much love. Bye, guys.